Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Today I'm going to make a simple tag card for you, and for this card I will be using our oh my goodness, silver 1/8 inch ribbon, our bright and beautiful stamp set, our itty bitty accent punches, Night of Navy classic ink, Night of Navy cardstock, our banners framelit die, Versamark pin, our Whisper White Baker's Twine, my Stampin' Buddy, our iridescent embossing powder, and something I haven't shown you before that is new to our catalog this year are our masks. We have two sets of masks. This one is the dots and stripes here, dots here, and they are reusable. It's a kind of like an acetate type of a plastic, and this set is our hearts and stars. So there's the hearts, and I'm going to be using the star mask. And the extra things that I've used for or will be using for my card, and you can just use what you have in your stash, of course. I bought this beautiful glitter tool from Hobby Lobby when they had it on sale, and some other colors that they had. Very, very pretty. And this yarn, I bought probably 3 skeins of this to do a project with, which I haven't done yet. Yeah, I bought this from an event that I went to, so there's no store to tell you about. And I think that is everything. So let me clear my area, and let's get started. Okay, and there are a couple of more things I did forget to mention. I will also be using, obviously, my heat tool for the embossing, and then I've cut out these 2 little beautiful stars using our glimmer paper, and this is the silver. So what I did here, I started off with a 4 by 11 inch sheet of cardstock, and I've scored it already at 5.5. Now I want this to be in the shape of a tag. So I've taken my T-square ruler, and I've come in on each side of here and marked a 1/2 inch. So a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. And it's kind of hard to see. I will zoom in on that, and hopefully you can see it. But it is hard to see on this dark cardstock. I've come down 1.25 inches here and 1.25 inches here. So I'm going to take my Stampin' trimmer, and I'm going to trim off at those points so that I have the tag shape. And then I will use my eraser to erase you know, any marks that are showing. So first, let me see if I can zoom in on that, and hopefully you can see it. I don't know, a lot of times I think you can't see things, and then when I look at the video on a larger screen, I realize you can see it quite clearly. So again, hopefully you can see that that's a 1/2 inch in, and then a 1/2 inch in from this edge, and then I've come down 1.25 inch, 1.25 inch. So I'm going to go ahead, let me unlock that, and I want to match up my points. So, which again are really hard for me to see. So there's one, and I'm trying not to put my head in there. And this mark, oh, where is it? There it is. So I'm trying to get them right in that channel there, so that they line up where you can see the groove there. I'm going to go back a couple of times because this is a double layer of cardstock. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I got to get my points lined up right into the channel. So hard to see. There, and there looks good. Hopefully that'll be a nice little tag shape for me. There we go. So there's that. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Oop, I said out, not in. I always do that. Okay, well, it's not perfect. It's the way things go on camera. But you know what? I'm not gonna, you know, do a do-over. You see my flaw. Just be, you know, more meticulous when you're doing it at home to make sure. In fact, I can see I went way past my mark there, so that's why it's not even. So I'm going to take my crocodile, and I'm going to go ahead and put my hole in there that I'll need later. So I'm just going to eyeball this center. Hopefully that's centered well. Obviously this card will be one I'll keep, right? Oops, I wanted the larger size. Wasn't paying attention. There we go. Because I'm going to be putting 3, you know, pieces of material in there. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is take my Stampin' Buddy, and I'm going to just rub all over this cardstock. And yes, this powder does come off. I like to keep mine inside of one of these little cases because there's a powder in there. And that way it doesn't get all over everything else when I store it. And then I could just wipe it off, or you can take a brush, which I probably would recommend a brush. And I'm going to get one because just to keep the oils off your hands, you know, off the cardstock. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush really quick here so I can wipe that off. I have a couple of brushes that I set aside just for this purpose. So I'm going to use this larger one to brush that off. And I have a tinier one that I use when I need to get in smaller spaces. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take my mask and decide where I want it. Now you could take some repositionable tape if you want and stick that down so it doesn't move anywhere. And I think I want the cluster more like that. Yeah, I think that looks good. So I'm going to get usually, honestly, I usually just use my hand and hold it down, but that's a little risky because your mask could move on you and you don't want it to do that. So I'm going to get a little tape and tape that down. So since I'm using a sheet of paper here instead of my non-stick craft mat, which I could do, I need a low tack tape, so I've decided just to go ahead and get a little bit of washi tape that I have in my stash and tape that down. And I think I'll do that on both of these sides. Okay, and now I'm going to take my Versa marker and I'm just going to fill in all these little stars with it. I will show you a card later that I did using my Versamark pad, and you can see how that turned out. I mean, it turned out okay, but I felt like if I used the marker instead, or pen, whatever you want to call it, I would have more control and I could make sure that my stars were filled in well. But I do need to work a little quickly here because I don't want that to dry before I get my embossing powder on it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these off camera. When I come back, we will add the powder. Okay, now I filled in all my stars, so I'm going to go ahead and lift that off, and you can see them there. Oops, looks like I missed some. And I was rushing because I wanted to hurry up and get this video done. So you could do, I would think it would probably be easier if you do a few at a time instead of like I did, and you can make sure that you get those stars filled in all the way. Going to add my embossing powder. This is the iridescent, like I said before. Very pretty. It's like our dazzling diamonds and our dazzling detail glitter glue. It's my favorite. Okay. Now this is where I would come in. Oh, I need that. See, most of that did come off good. This is why you use your embossing buddy. And if you don't have that, you can use a dryer sheet. That's what I used to use. But to be honest with you, I found that the embossing buddy works better for me. I mean, dryer sheets, they worked somewhat. And if that's, that's all I had at the time. And other YouTubers were using the dryer sheets, and like I said, they do work somewhat, but I have found that to me the embossing buddy works a lot better. But as you can see, I still have, oops, wrong one. I still have some embossing powder where I don't want it. Now I did another card. Like I said, I used my I used the Versamark ink pad, and I didn't really take the time to get all the excess off, so I have little I guess you can think of them kind of like, I don't know, the Milky Way or whatever. Okay, again, like I said, this is not perfect at all, and I know that. So if you're watching and you're like, oh, those stars, they're just, the shapes aren't right, I needed to take more time in filling in the stars, and I was trying to move rather quickly because I need to get this done and get it edited and up, and then work on the next project that I have. Okay, so we're just going to go with that for the sake of this video instead of making it take an hour. Okay, so I'm going to grab my little pad here I have specifically for using, well, it's for my hot glue gun, but I like to use it when I'm using my heat tool as well, or the silicone mat that we sell, which I would use if I could find mine. Okay, so you can fix up your stars if you're the artsy type. My daughter actually did fix them for me. Oh shoot. Okay, well, I totally messed that one up. I want to take that much off. I said I was going to move on, didn't I? Okay. I think I don't have enough Versamark there. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. Trying to fix my mistakes. Okay, that's going to be one odd little star, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about that one because more than likely that one's going to be a little covered by my tag. So, moving on, I am going to get my heat tool. a little noise here, and I'm going to go ahead and start heating this up. And let me zoom in so you can see when it makes its change. Oh. You kind of want to move around and try not to burn your, there you go, see that star? That's beautiful. Try not to burn your embossing powder. I love heat embossing. It's just so magical. So hopefully you can see that really well, how that's changing. And you just want to keep moving. Don't stay in the same spot too long. So that powder should turn into, should kind of melt together. Oh, I like it. I wish my stars were better, but that works. Okay. And then I might do a little on the back side, just to make sure I got all the powder. Okay. So there's that. See that shimmer? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just very easy. I've already gone ahead and cut out my sentiment using the Bright and Beautiful stamp set. Wishing you a bright and beautiful Christmas and a new year that shines with happiness. And I used that banner framelit, like I said. And the one that I use specifically is, let's see, where is it? I used the third largest one right there, and it fits perfectly around that stamp. So you can ink your edges, which I will show you on another card, or just add it like that. And for the sake of this this video, I'm gonna go ahead and just add it without doing the inking. Let me go out a bit. So again, and I think I'm going to yeah, I'm going to use dimensionals for that. You could add it just directly to the card without adding that dimension, and then let your stars be your dimension, or you can go ahead and add dimensionals to that. Depending on what you're doing and, you know, how fast you want to get this done. Okay. So I'm going to place that right about there. I want to line it up with the edge. Make sure it's straight. And there. And then I'm going to take my little stars. And I think I want them on dimensions as well. And I'm going to get my scissors and cut little tiny, I'm sorry, I'm off camera, little tiny pieces of dimensionals for the backs of those. Oop. You don't want it showing on the other side. Oop. Make sure it's pressed down well. And then take your nail, press into the dimensional to give you a little indentation, which usually makes it easier to get that backing paper off. So I'm thinking right about there. I'm not going to press it down yet till I'm sure that's how I want it. You can get these supplies, all the Stampin' Up! Supplies, on my website at www.lmdstampin.stampinup.net. I will also have this project with the materials list on my site. You simply go to projects. Okay, Okay, I think, yeah, that'll work. So this is where my tool comes in, and I've already cut a piece. This is about 12 inches. It's stuck. About 12 inches. So you want to do about, you could do 8 to 12 inches. I did actually, and I will end up cutting quite a bit of that off. So just decide how long you want your ribbons to be. And I'm going to cut a piece of this, and then a piece of the beautiful 1/8 inch silver ribbon. This is I'm just trying to see if that was taffeta or silk or what it was, but I don't see it on there. I love this ribbon, it's so pretty. And then I just layer them together. Trying to make sure they're kind of even. You're going to cut that, so it's not that big of a deal if they're not. Then I fold that in half, and then all of that's going to go through your hole if all goes well. And of course, it's going to give me a little trouble because I'm on camera. Mind you, I have already done this on 2 other cards. Okay, there we go. And then find my loops. And I'm going to pull everything through the loops and tighten. And you can do each one. Do my tool, and then this beautiful little ribbon, I mean not ribbon, yarn. It's so pretty. I'm not sure what you would call the yarn, this type. Okay. There we go. And you can work with it more if you want this to look better than that, you know, 2 silver showing or whatever. Okay, so now I'm just going to, you know, just cut these at angles, and I'm not being that meticulous, like I said. So this is just a fun little shape card. You could do the same thing and just make it a standard A2 card without going through the step of turning it into a tag. But I thought that would be a fun thing to do. And then of course I would put a sheet of Whisper White cardstock in there for writing on. So there's that. Let me show you a couple of other ones that I made. Let me zoom out. So here's one I made using the same cardstock, and I used our white embossing powder, and you can see where I wasn't very good about getting all of the extra embossing powder off. And so, you know, I mean, we know stars, they're like, some are closer to us and brighter, and some are further away and not that bright, so I let it go. But I don't know. I'm just going to leave that alone. And I inked the edges of this one, and also used dimensionals to pop it up off the card, and dimensionals on the star. You will notice this card is actually wider because this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I decided that I thought the tag might look better if it was more narrow. And you can see it's a little more even than that one turned out because I wasn't on camera and was taking my time. Oh, I did leave off one little thing, our baker's twine. So I'm going to put that on there. And that's just to make sure that, well, one, it's cute, and it also, you know, to hold your all your little ribbons in place. So that's the last thing that I want to do. Do it this way. And also what I want to show you, I did use my ink pad with that. So you can use your ink pad. Your mask is going to get a lot messier, but that's okay. I found that my mask cleaned up a lot better when I used the Stays-On first to get the bulk of the Versamark ink off, and then I went and washed my mask underneath some warm water with soap, just dishwashing detergent, and let that dry, and it came out nice. I did try it also without using the Stays-On ink remover, and I didn't like it. It came out a lot cleaner when I did both steps. So if you have another tip, please be sure to share that with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd like it. Okay. Didn't mean to fuss with that long. And just trim those tails off. And then the last card I'm going to show you. So if you don't want to go through the trouble of making your own tag cards, and this is actually where I got the idea from, is I had this cheap pack of Studio G tag card set that I bought from Michael's a while ago, and I made this card, and this is using the iridescent oh my goodness, embossing powder, and I inked the back using the Night of Navy ink. Inked the edges of this. I applied this directly, the tag I applied directly to the card. Sorry, man, that shadow. I know you guys have been seeing it the whole time, right? And then I used Dimensionos to pop up my stars. So there's our 3 cards. And you can make your tags, you know, obviously any size you want, because as you can see, this one is a lot longer than those 2. But I wanted it to pretty much be fit inside your regular A2 size envelope. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to sharing more with you again. Again, you can go to my webpage, www.lmdstampin.stampinup.net, to see the project list of materials that I used here, and also to order the Stampin' Up! Products that I used, and to see other projects that I've made, or even other people have made. So again, as always, I look forward to being with you again. I so appreciate you stopping by, and have a great day.